You know, Drew, to be frank, I have to, of course.
Yes?
The truth is, I've been very critical of you, and I should just be grateful that you're still rocking an iPhone, getting software support that has Face ID.
That's true.
And I apologize in the past for shunning you and treating you like you're not my real brother. Well, you know, truthfully, I'm not your real brother. You don't even exist. You're a character I came up with to create funnier tech videos. But honestly, I'm just excited to see what's coming out at the next Apple event. I'm sure you're upgrading to a USB-C iPhone. Oh, yeah, eventually. And I'm also excited to finally see that space black Apple Watch Ultra Series 2, which I plan on getting. But I understand that's expensive and you don't like spending a lot of money anymore. Yeah, it's a lot of money just for a new color, but yeah, which is totally fine. I understand you'll probably just stick with a regular, maybe even aluminum Series 9, which I could eventually forgive you for. Well, that's kind of the funny thing, Frankie. I've actually stopped wearing my Apple Watch. What's wrong with you? Just when I come around, you find a way to make me mad! Well, hold on, I can explain. Oh, wait. Sorry. I'm very quick to get angry, but you probably sold the Series 7 in preparation for upgrading to the Series 9, right? No, that's not it either. I just stopped wearing it. Okay. I'm going to block you with my AR glasses now so I can't physically see you anymore. Huh, okay, that's a new one. Let's begin. Yeah, like all of my complicated, ecosystem-changing videos in the past, there's not one answer. There's not one simple, here's why I stopped wearing my Apple Watch. There were a bunch of reasons that all started to stack up. In fact, I haven't actually gone without wearing my Apple Watch since October of 2018. If you can remember, all the way back then, it's actually when I got married, I was doing the Pixel Challenge, where I had to leave my iPhone behind, and I switched to a Pixel 3 for a solid month, which of course didn't work with the Apple Watch. And I did a video way back when, which I'm sure you guys could go back and watch, but you'll basically relearn that my experience in the past when I went a month without my Apple Watch was that it made me feel more attached to my phone, and it made me feel more clingy because I wasn't sure when my phone was getting notifications, and I felt like I had to continue going back to check it all the time. But a lot has changed since then, you know? I'm not buying the latest iPhones anymore. In fact, I've downgraded quite a bit. Back then, my favorite Apple product was the iPad Pro from 2018. That's obviously changed. And honestly, there was a lot of discussion going on between me and the Minimalist Digitalist on Twitter. He's been a longtime supporter of the channels, and we keep up with each other through the DMs. And he has always been kind of against wearing the Apple Watch. And I disagreed with him for a lot of reasons in the past, saying that, you know, my Apple Watch is the notification management system, and it's just so helpful, and I use it for tracking my activities and my heart rate and pinging my phone and all that. But honestly, the way he was able to get by with his more minimalist mindset without an Apple Watch all these years kind of inspired me in many ways, because as I've been challenging myself more lately throughout the course of this year, downgrading my phone and selling off my iPad and trying to get by with less, it made me really think inwardly on okay, what do I actually use my Apple Watch for, you know? And I've been doing lots of workouts with my dad, and just whenever we go on a walk, I feel like the Apple Watch kind of kept nudging its way into my life, oh yeah, you're about to do a workout, you better track that. Oh, you're about to go on a bike ride, you better track that. And after several weeks visiting family and tracking all of these workouts or activities, I realized that I would start the workout, end the workout, and then I was never really looking at that data again. And even for several months, I was actually doing the sleep tracking feature and seeing how I was sleeping every night. And part of my decision came from the Waveform podcast, where they had a real doctor on who basically explained that tracking your sleep is like entertainment, essentially, and that if you tell someone that they slept poorly, they would then go on to have a worse day and a worse mood, even if it wasn't true. So the takeaway they had from the podcast is that the best thing you could do to a person in terms of sleep tracking is just tell them every single day that they slept really, really well. Even if it wasn't true, the person would be happier and perform better throughout the day if they were told that they slept well, regardless of if they slept well or not. So all of this health data that the Apple Watch was collecting and building up this profile all for me on, I realized it wasn't really translating to anything. And that podcast really got me thinking about how a lot of health data is purely meant for entertainment and not so much for education, which is kind of weird. So once I finally got back from my trip, actually, which was about 3 weeks ago, I had to unpack all the chargers, and I was thinking a lot about USB-C, of course, around the corner, and it made me realize that, okay, AirPods are probably making the switch to Type-C, the phone, of course, is switching to Type-C, the iPad has already done it, the Mac has already done it, and the watch was this one thing in the ecosystem that we were pretty confident, okay, yeah, that one can't necessarily switch to Type-C. So the next time I'm doing a big trip and I have to pack a lot of cables and stuff, sure, in the future, maybe I'll have a USB-C iPhone and that'll make traveling easier. I won't have to worry about lightning cables so much, but I'm still gonna have to either pack a lightning cable for MagSafe Duo, or I'm gonna have to buy a MagSafe Duo with USB-C all over again. And it made me realize how many hoops I'm jumping through, or how many extra accessories I have just to make sure that my watch can stay charged as well. And clearly, there's a lot of people in my life and online that are getting by and are still engaged in the tech space, but they don't necessarily wear a smartwatch every day. So I took it upon myself to revive this challenge with the new 2023 Drew that's trying to push that narrative that you can live with less, because we live in a tech world that is constantly telling you you need to buy things. Everyone's trying to push that narrative that there are problems in your life and there's a solution available through this affiliate link or available through this website or through this event. And I think that puts a lot of people in financially irresponsible places, and also just convinces a lot of people to be way more picky with things that they don't really need to be picky with. So I wanted to see, basically, once I got back from my trip and once I realized how much extra mental capacity I'm going through, to be like, oh, which watch band, or oh, which wrist do I want to put my Apple Watch on, or do I want to make sure that I'm tracking this workout, or I just want to take a walk? I don't know. I wanted to see what it would be like to not wear one for a while. So I haven't really been wearing it. I basically put on a dead Apple Watch for my Series X video I did a few weeks ago. It was not actually on, I just put it on for the sake of the video, but surprisingly not that many people noticed. But every video since then, I haven't been wearing my watch. But similar to my decision with the iPad Pro, I didn't want to sell it off or get rid of my Apple Watch prematurely in case I did realize how much I need it or care about it or want to actually have it back. So the good news is it's still here, guys. Okay, I haven't sold it off completely. I wanted to still have a backup option in the event that I decide, you know what, this is really helpful, this is really nice, I think I want to go back to wearing it. So I don't sell things off that quickly, but while I think a lot of people are constantly looking for reasons to go out and buy tech, I wanted to see what types of technology I could try to get by without, you know, like what are the core roots, what are the core fundamentals of this Apple ecosystem, and what's the absolute minimum you can get by with. Like, I've proven over the past 5-6 months that I can totally live without my iPad. It wasn't that useful. I didn't touch it for a very, very long time, so I was okay selling it off. But then it got me thinking on my existing ecosystem, and I was like, what's the most useless piece of it right now? What am I utilizing the least, and what is not coming up? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, okay, yeah, my watch delivers to me notifications, and I do track a lot of health data with it, but I wasn't doing anything with that data. And it's not like you can't get notifications or texts from your phone without an Apple Watch. It's still possible to have the phone vibrate and check it that way. And there were some other psychology elements to it as well. Like whenever I took my Apple Watch off, you know, seeing that very noticeable, you know, tan line and how white that part of my wrist has become from all these years of wearing an Apple Watch. I don't know, something about that, I guess, has kind of creeped me out a little bit. Like every day, just having that piece of the ecosystem strapped to your wrist. And my conversations with Hasael, who runs the Minimalist Digitalist, was the one kind of emphasizing that, okay, if you feel like you're too attached to your phone when you take your watch off, or you feel like you're missing things, or people might be reaching out to you and you're not getting back to them, there's like a mental problem there. And I started to kind of understand and see what he was saying, and I started to realize like how attached we really are to these devices. Like thinking about those core fundamentals in the Apple ecosystem, the more I realized like there's no going back from smartphones. Like I can't get rid of my phone. Like I use it too much for work, I use it for communication, I use it for capturing the moment in our memories with the amazing cameras they bake on these things. And there was something a little bit weird about that to me. The more I thought about how like, yeah, there's not any scenario where I'm gonna be getting rid of this product. It has basically just worked its way into not just my life, but everyone's lives. I remember being being a kid when the iPhone was kind of the new thing and not that many people had them, and my parents were even pretty like, no, iPhones are just like a rich person, like businessman toy. Everyday people don't need an iPhone. And to now see like everybody rocking them all around me and seeing the effect that it has on like our attention spans and our social skills for a lot of people, particularly with like teenagers and young kids, where the parent can sometimes just like hand them a phone, sometimes like a 14 Pro, just so the kid can watch YouTube shorts, and that phone kind of becomes the babysitter a lot of the time. And that definitely, I feel like, has an effect on the kid's behavior, and they grow up like somewhat dependent on it. And I see this around me all the time, and it feels just like a different world that we can't really reverse anymore. Maybe I've just been watching too much Oppenheimer, but I'm definitely having a lot of similar feelings. Like, I knew the world would not be the same. Some people laughed, some people cried. In these screens that are capturing our attention everywhere we go, they're just like the destroyer of worlds, you know? They just take us away from what's really going on around us. So, all of that creepy talk to say, I want to become less attached to my phone. It's already a problem considering how much time I've been spending on Twitter and on YouTube. They're so addictive, there's so much time to spend on there, and I can justify it by saying, well, this is for work, you know, this is my livelihood, so I have to spend a lot of time on my phone. But during those times where I'm with other people, or during those times where I'm spending time with friends or family members, I wanted to be able to put my phone in my pocket or even set it away from me and not feel like it can just vibrate or tap me at a moment's notice and get my mental capacity to suddenly switch over to whatever people are texting me about or whatever notification is on that watch. I guess this is another effort for me to try to live a bit more in the moment and accept that, okay, somebody might be reaching out to me and I might not respond right away, okay? I might not be getting emails or checking emails at every single instance, and I guess I'm trying to put more value in those small moments where we're not attached to a screen, where we're looking at people directly in the eyes, trying to get to know them better and trying to understand someone better. And I think not having that notification that's potentially always just a second away, ready to tap at a moment's notice, and it's not like you have your ecosystem grabbing you by the wrist everywhere you go. I guess I'm trying to take more value in that. It's not that the Apple Watch is not a great product. I understand that it's very capable and that for a lot of people, the health sensors catching heart rate problems or doing ECGs has been immensely helpful to the masses. I'm not trying to take away from that. I guess I'm just trying to figure out if it's useful or necessary for me, similar to the iPad. Again, there's a bunch of people that can justify it and have livelihoods that necessitate an iPad like that, but I realized I wasn't part of that, and I think we should all be doing those kinds of similar exercises on, do I necessarily need this? Like, is this a want or is this a need? Like, am I utilizing this hardware properly, or could it go to someone who needs it more, or should I not spend too much money on something that's not really going to make a large impact in my life? And what's it doing to my mental health, essentially? And I think on top of all of this, another thing that has kind of made me lose more interest in the Apple Watch with time is realizing how much has kind of stayed the same over the years. Like, watchOS 10 has been, in my opinion, a big downgrade in many ways, and I've talked about it in several videos on how I'm not that impressed with the changes. In fact, they've kind of removed a lot of the things I care about now, and that kind of makes me feel like Apple is just pushing the watchOS team to come up with different things, even if they're not necessarily better. Like, they're making a lot of changes that are just for the sake of, well, this looks pretty, and we get to say, hey, this watchOS 10 has new features, but is it actually improving the product anymore? I didn't feel like it. And now hearing rumors about the Apple Watch Series X, which is changing the watch band connectors so they can make the device thinner, those kind of rumors and reports make me go, okay, Apple has kind of peaked with the watch. They've kind of run out of things that are functional or useful to add, so they're just kind of tweaking the design now, coming up with new bands, new colors, and probably next year a new design, just so they can say, okay, this is the new, fresher design. But does it unlock anything? Does it really make the experience that much better? Especially if it results in all of our old watch bands no longer being compatible. It's like, do I really want to be a part of this train where you just buy a watch so that it's pretty and looks cool for a little while, but then next year you're bored with it, so you want to go out and buy a new one? I don't know if I want to be a part of that. It's fine if you do. It's your money. I'm not telling you how to spend it, but I'm just letting you know what's going on in my head. And as of right now, I'm kind of getting by okay without it. Biggest frustrations, I would say, would probably be when I'm using Apple Pay at a grocery store, or if I want to unlock my Mac really quickly. It used to unlock faster with the watch. Now I just rest my finger on the fingerprint reader. So again, I'm getting by without it, and if if I can do it, I feel like a lot of you guys can too. And I'm not trying to convince you all to stop using your watch. I just want to make sure that the people who are using it are utilizing it to their full potential, and the people that aren't can start to realize, yeah, maybe I don't need to spend too much money on this every year. So I hope all of that jumbled mess kind of explains some things to you guys. No, I'm not planning on getting rid of my Mac or my iPhone. I feel like those are just too pivotal to the ecosystem. I don't know how I could really get by without them. But the watch, I'm visualizing a way, yeah, I think I can get by without this. What do you guys think? Are all of you Apple Watch wearers out there, or have a lot of you kind of given up on the watch or come back to it? Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are down below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.